Okay, guys, so we're going to start reading the Toothless Wonder. I know that we have read the first few chapters because whenever I was doing my sneak peek through the book, I saw that we already had a page folded for chapter 5. So I know that we at least read chapters 1 through 4. So I'm going to skim through those chapters really quickly to remind you what we've already read. So the first chapter was called Prizes, and it was when Junie B announced to the class that she was about to lose a top front tooth, and May gave her attitude and told her it wasn't that important. So she convinced Mr. Scary to give her a prize for losing that tooth, which we remember was a little silver star he cut out and pinned to her shirt. The second chapter was Uncle Lou, where she was really afraid to look like her friend's toothless Uncle Lou. She thought she was going to look ugly when she lost her tooth. Chapter 3 is Owl, and I think we might remember what that one is about. It's whenever Grandpa Miller stuck his finger in her mouth to check and see if her tooth was still loose, and she chomped down on it and popped her little tooth out. So she did not have that front tooth anymore. But at the end of that chapter, we know that Uncle Miller was trying to get her to realize that she still looked cute even without her tooth. And she said that she looked fascinating. And we said that that meant she thought she looked interesting. Not good, not bad, but that she thought she looked different. So we're going to read chapter 5, The Fairy, together. I'll turn the book around whenever there's a picture. But remember the things that we went over when you're reading out loud, that some of the most important parts, you want to, one, sound like your character. So you want to make a voice that kind of matches their picture. You want to give, if they have an attitude, if they sound really nice, or if they sound really mean, or if they sound old, or if they sound young, you want to try to sound like your character. Also, you want to match the mood. So if they're having a funny conversation, you want to laugh, you want to make it sound funny. If they're arguing, you want it to sound angry. You want to try your best to sound like your character. And you guys know that sometimes I get a little mixed up or I use the wrong voice. So we'll see if I do it this time. Hopefully not. Chapter 5, The Fairy. That night we had festivities. Festivities is when my grandpa and grandma come over and all of us eat cake. Grandma Helen Miller made the cake herself. She put a big smiley face on top. Only that is not all, because the smiley face had a tooth missing, just like me. I laughed and laughed at that silly thing. Then I reached in my pocket and I got my tooth and I passed it all around the table. "Oh, that's a beaut, Junie B," said Grandma Miller. "I know it, Grandma. I know it is a beaut," I said, real proud. "I can't wait to take it to school for show and tell. The children are going to love this thing." Daddy looked strange at me. "Oh, gee, I don't know, honey," he said. "I'm not really sure you should take your tooth to school." Mother shook her head. "No, Junie B, that's definitely not a good idea." And I said definitely like that, the way that I kind of drug it out to make it sound dramatic. You see how we talked about the different kinds of letters and sometimes they lean in italics, and that lets you know that it's kind of an important word. And that was the word definitely. She said, "That's definitely not a good idea. And besides, you won't even have your tooth on Monday, remember? You have to leave it for the tooth fairy tonight." Oh, I forgot to mention that she's nervous about the tooth fairy. Just then, my skin got chill bumps again, and the flutterflies came back in my stomach, 'cause I know stuff about the tooth fairy, that's why. My voice felt kind of shaky. "Yeah, only what if I don't want to leave my tooth for the tooth fairy, Mother?" I said. "What if I just want to take it to show and tell, and that's all?" Mother shook her head again. "No, Junie B, no show and tell," she said. "Taking a tooth to show and tell is just, well, it's just disgusting," said Daddy. "Yes," said Mother, "disgusting." I whined at those two. "No, it isn't," I said. "Lots of kids bring teeth to school. 'Cause one time Roger brought a shark's tooth, and he even let me and Herb put it right in our mouths. And then we looked like sharks too. I thought some more. Plus, another time, Shirley brought her grandma's dentures, and lots of us put those in our mouths too. Grandma Miller did a little gag. Only, I don't actually know why. And if we don't know what a gag is, it's when you look like you're going to throw up and you go, ugh, and just something's really gross. My grandma patted her hand. Just be glad she doesn't want to take the spit cup, he whispered. Just then my whole face lighted up, 'cause I have ears like a hawk, of course. The spit cup, I will take the spit cup, I hollered. I jumped down from my chair and I zoomed to the bathroom. Then I got the spit cup out of the trash and I dusted it off real good. Good news, people, I shouted real loud. There's still some blood around the edges. You remember the cup that she spit into when she lost her tooth? I quick ran down to show them. Grandma Miller closed her eyes at the sight. Then Mother put her head on the table and hid her face in her arms. The festivities were over, I believe. After Grandma and Grandpa Miller left, Mother took me to the bathroom and we brushed my teeth real careful. Then I took my loose tooth out of my pocket and I brushed that guy too. I held it up to the light. Look, I said. Look how shiny I made it. I really wish I could take this tooth to school, Mother. I really, really wish that with all my might. Mother gave me a hug. I know you do, Junie B, she said. But it's still going to be fun to put under your pillow tonight, isn't it? She smiled. I remember when I was a little girl, I couldn't wait to wake up in the morning and find out how much money the tooth fairy had left me. My skin got prickly at the name again. Also, sweaty came on my head. I thought and thought about what to do. Then finally I stood on my tiptoes and I whispered in Mother's ear. Yeah, only I know stuff about the tooth fairy, Mother, I said. I know the truth. Mother looked shocked at me. The truth, she said. You know the truth? Yes, I whispered again. I know the exact truth, Mother, 'cause last year, Polly Allen Puffer told me the whole entire story. I took another big breath. Then I cupped my hands around her ear. And I talked even quieter. The fairy isn't real, I said. The tooth fairy is just pretend. Mother's eyes got big and wide at me. No, she said. Yes, I whispered back. Polly Allen learned it from his big brother. The tooth fairy isn't a fairy at all. She's actually a teensy little tooth witch. Mother's mouth came all the way open. A tooth witch? Shh, I said. We have to talk soft, Mother. If the tooth witch hears anyone telling her secret, she flies into their room at night and she pinches their cheeks. Mother covered her face with her hands. She was in shock, I believe. Polly Allen's brother even saw the tooth witch, I said, 'cause one night he put a tooth under his pillow and then he stayed awake all night and he saw the tooth witch fly into his room in a teensy little toothbrush. Oh my, said Mother. I know it is, oh my, I said. And that is even not the worstest part. 'Cause the witch walked right under his pillow and she carried out his tooth. And then she chomped a big bite out of it. Just like it was a little tooth apple. Mother made a noise behind her hands. I patted her very nice. I know how you feel, Mother, I said. This is very hard to hear. Finally, Mother took her hands away. But it doesn't really make sense, Junie B, she said. I mean, why would a mean little witch leave money under the pillow? A witch would never do something like that, would she? I rolled my eyes way up to the ceiling because sometimes I have to explain everything to that woman. Of course she would, Mother. Don't you get it? The witch leaves money so that children think she's really a fairy. Because if children don't think she's a fairy, they won't leave their teeth, right? And if they don't leave their teeth, the witch won't get any tooth apples. Mother closed her eyes very tight. Then all of a sudden, she opened the bathroom door and she ran right out of the room. She was taking it harder than I thought. So that is the end of that chapter before we read chapter 6, Full of Soup. If I were to take a note on that chapter, I think the most important thing is that we finally learned what Junie B really thinks the Tooth Fairy is, because we knew she was nervous about the Tooth Fairy, but we didn't know why. I thought maybe she just thought fairies were creepy, but it turns out Junie B thinks that fairies are little witches that eat apples, or eat teeth like they're apples. So I'm going to leave a note saying that we finally learned what Junie B thinks tooth fairies are and why she's afraid. And maybe we can ask some questions about what we think is going to happen next. Is she really going to meet the tooth witch? Is it really going to be a witch, or is it going to be a fairy? What are the kids at school going to think when they see her with her tooth out? Because we haven't seen that yet. So we're gonna find that out. Oh wait, no, we did. That was in Frico, where the kids saw her without her tooth. But we are gonna read that next time. Tomorrow, we're gonna read another chapter tomorrow. Please, please, please keep watching, guys. I would love for you to read these books with